In today's 10-minute memory hack, we're gonna look at how powerful is the placebo effect. And then at the end, we're gonna take a look at how you can become your very own placebo. Hi, I'm Julia Lundstrom, your neuroscience and brain health educator. So what is the placebo effect? The dictionary defines it as the beneficial effect produced by a placebo drug or treatment which cannot be attributed to properties of the placebo itself and must therefore be due to the patient's belief in that treatment. Belief in that treatment. Belief in the treatment. So does that mean our beliefs in our mind are much more powerful than we think they are? That we can actually heal ourselves? That we can get results that we want, whether physical, financial, health, relationship, just by making ourselves the placebo? And what happens if we believe in the opposite? What happens if we believe we are sick when we're not? What happens when we believe we're going to die because we were told we were going to die, even though there's no reason for us to? I'm going to talk about the power of the mind. And then at the end, I'm going to talk to you about how to harness this for yourself. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to get every week's 10-minute memory hack. The 1950s and 60s were ripe with scientific studies done on humans that, well, didn't always follow the ethics we have today. I certainly don't agree with all the studies that they did, but some studies came out that really showed the power of suggestion and the placebo effect. So let's start by looking at a few of the most potent studies around the placebo effect. In 1962, there was a study done in Japan on a group of children. All of the kids were extremely allergic to poison ivy. Researchers rubbed one forearm of each child with poison ivy, but told them that the leaf was harmless. As a control, they rubbed the other children's forearm with another harmless leaf, but they told the children this was poison ivy. All of the children developed a rash on the arm rubbed with the harmless leaf that was thought to be poison ivy, and 11 of the 13 children developed no rash at all where the poison ivy had actually touched them. How could they not get a reaction to real poison ivy and then get a reaction to a completely harmless leaf? Belief. Now, okay, children are the most susceptible to suggestion. So what studies out there that are done on adults? Many, thousands actually. One notable study from the 60s looked at people with asthma. Researchers gave 40 asthma patients inhalers containing nothing but water vapor, but told the people that they had inhalers contained with an allergen, something that would actually make them sick and they would have a reaction. 19 of them, a full 48%, experienced asthmatic symptoms such as restricting of their airways, with 12 of them having a full-blown asthma attack from the fake allergen. The researchers then gave the subjects inhalers said to contain medicine that would relieve their symptoms. And in each case, their airways did indeed open back up, although again, the inhalers contained only water vapor. In both situations, bringing on the asthma symptoms with water vapor and then magically reversing them again with water vapor, the patients were responding to suggestion alone. How about the placebo surgery? Yes, this is a thing, and research shows it works. Actually, this is becoming more and more common where, of course, the surgery isn't life-threatening. One study done on 180 patients with osteoarthritis of the knee were randomly assigned to receive either the surgery or placebo group received skin incisions, meaning they actually cut the skin and underwent a simulated surgery without insertion of the actual arthroscope. The patients and the assessors themselves were blinded to the treatment. So no one knew who got what, the surgery or not, and the outcomes were assessed over multiple points over 2 years. At no point did either of the groups report less pain or better function than the placebo group. Furthermore, there's a 95% confidence level that the surgery did not have any meaningful difference. The people that had the surgery were no better off than those who had the placebo procedure. As a researcher, when I read more and more about this, that's when I know I gotta start looking at meta-analysis studies. These are studies that look at large group of studies to determine similarities and patterns. The magnitude of the placebo effect on clinical trials is mind-blowing. One meta-analysis of 186 different clinical trials with 16,000 patients showed that a full 54% of the treatment of the drug came from the placebo effect. Are you getting it yet? How absolutely powerful your mind is. If you haven't read anything from Dr. Joe Dispenza, I highly recommend the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. In his 20s, Dr. Joe Dispenza was in a bicycle race in Palm Springs, California. When he was coming upon an intersection, a Chevy Bronco traveling 55 miles per hour didn't see him and collided with the rear of his bike, throwing Dr. Dispenza into the air. The impact compressed 6 vertebrae, broke his back in 4 places, and left shattered bone fragments in his spinal cord. 3 different doctors from 3 very renowned hospitals said that he needed back surgery, and he needed the Harrington rod procedure, where they literally fuse a rod from the base of his spine to his neck, which included a very long, painful recovery. Even with the best possible surgical outcome, his odds for walking again were extremely low. Instead, he checked himself out of the hospital and he spent 3 hours a day mentally reconstructing his spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. At the end of 10 weeks, he was on his feet again and training again at the end of 12 weeks. He has gone on to spend the rest of his life with no back pain and teaching about this mind-body connection. But the doctors at Harvard University remind us it isn't just about positive thinking. It has to be about exploring this mind-body connection and being able to harvest it. So, how do we do this? How do we become our own placebo in order to heal our own minds and bodies and get rid of anxiety and depression, insomnia, even go so far as healing our own vertebrae like Dr. Joe Dispenza did? And I'm going to take it one step further. How do we make our wildest dreams come true with this mind-body connection? We do all of this through meditation, but not just any meditation, mindful meditation. You see, only 5 to 10% of your thoughts are conscious on any given day. That means 95% of your emotions, your thoughts, your actions are subconscious actions, ones you don't think about. You wake up every day, you get out of the same side of the bed, you brush your teeth, take a shower, go to the bathroom, go through the same steps, making yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and you pretty much run the whole rest of your day on autopilot. You even feel the same emotions. You let the same things bother you, and you run through your whole day as a repeat of the one before it. Very little of your day is a conscious effort to think, act, and change what you're currently doing. And so if you're doing the same thing every day, how can you expect to get different results? But if you can, through mindful meditation, connect with your body, you can learn to look at things differently and experience different emotions and not be triggered by the same things the same way. Then your life will start to change. You see, when you can connect with your mind and your body in a way where you can now be the conscious guide to what your body does, that is when you can start to take control of your own health and your own future. So how do you do mindful meditation? There are many ways to do this, but almost all of them come back to gratitude and love and forgiveness. Today, I want to share with you one way that I learned how to do this from a retreat that I went to called 40 Years of Zen. They taught us century-old techniques on meditations. The process is called the reset process. And what this process does is help you get into an alpha state of mind, which helps connect your mind and body together. So the first thing you want to do when you're getting into this meditation is get it in a comfortable position. It doesn't matter if you're sitting or lying down, you just want to be comfortable. I like to take a few deep breaths, maybe 5 or 10, to get me into a relaxed state of mind. When you start the reset process, you want to think of a guide, something, not somebody, that's going to help you guide through this process and let you know when you're done with it. I like to pick a guide like the clouds or a special tree. You don't want to pick somebody living or dead, and you do not want to pick God or the universe, anything that is too big. They're just too big. So pick something small that speaks to you. The next step in the reset process is you're going to pick the person and place. And what we usually recommend when you're just starting out with this is to pick something small. So if you're mindful that maybe your spouse triggers you in a certain way, every time they do something, maybe pick the last instance that actually happened. For example, to pick the person or place, for me today, I would have to pick my husband, and I would pick this scene as this morning when he wanted to leave for work without me walking him to work, which is what we like to do on a daily basis. My scene is him telling me he was leaving while I was in the shower because he wanted to get going and he didn't want to wait for me. He knows that our walks are very important to us. So I got triggered. Let's talk about the next step of the process. This is to pick the charge. So for instance, my charge for my husband this morning was that he didn't respect that we need quality time in order for our relationship to be healthy. And we get that through our daily walks together. So the next step in the process, now that we have the guide, I'm going to use the clouds in this case, and we have the person and place, my husband telling me in the shower that he wanted to leave, and we have the charge, that he didn't respect our quality time. The next step in the process is to go deep with it. Feel the emotions. Run through what happened and feel it deeply when you're in this meditative state. By now, your brain waves are probably in high alpha. This is your creative state and a state you typically want to meditate in. The recess process gets you there. So you're going to feel the emotions. You're going to feel the anger, the trigger, the disappointment, everything that comes around from that experience that you had. Once you really feel it, I mean like really feel it, like you're in that moment again, then you can move on. The next step in this process is to find the gift. Now this one's hard sometimes, and you may have to go back a couple different rounds of feeling the emotions over and over before you can find the gift. In my true life example to you this morning, the gift is that I realize how important these walks are to me, and he realizes how important these walks are to our relationship. For both of us to have this quality time together, it reminds us both that the more time we spend together, the better off we are in a relationship. So the gift is a reminder of this quality time, or the even deeper gift is a reminder of how much I love to spend time with my husband. The next step in this process is actually to forgive through to love. And that looks different for every single circumstance. So you want to make sure, again, that you're starting with something small, because forgiveness can be tough. Again, don't do anything around forgiveness with yourself to start out, because that's just way too hard and it may take too long to start. So I can easily forgive my husband for this morning, and we did end up taking a walk together, and he understood that I respect this time and that it was easy to go ahead and forgive him. And for me, that just looked like giving him a big giant hug. And once you've forgiven through to love, you can go ahead and ask your guide, and in this case, the clouds, am I done? Now, I've never been one to believe that we can get a response from anything, but I'll tell you, when you do this process, you will get a response. And that's either going to be yes, no, or maybe even yes for now. Maybe there's deeper work that has to be done, and you have to go back in on a deeper session and do the work again. This very powerful reset process, and it's been around for centuries, not only gets your mind into an alpha brainwave state, but it gets you into a very grateful, loving, caring state. And that is where the mind-body connection comes together. Once you can get into this state of gratitude, the state of love, the state of forgiveness, you will connect more and more with your body and your mind, and you'll be able to shift your perspective. You'll be able to be more conscious during the day, and you'll be able to start to heal the wounds of the past, so that you can stand up from that meditation more in tune with who you are and who you want to be. You'll stand up from that meditation more mindful. I love the reset process to start my meditations, to do the deeper work, to start picturing the healing process, to start to create more health and abundance in my life. I will start my meditations with that reset process to get me in the loving, grateful, forgiving state. And once I'm in that high alpha state, I can create anything I want just by imagining it and feeling the emotion around it. I encourage you to go try this today to get yourself into a high alpha state using the reset process, and go create what you want today just by thinking and meditating on it and feeling it. The most important part is feeling it. Feel how you want to feel when you're really healthy again, when you're super sharp again, when you have a ton of energy waking up in the morning. Feel that every single time in your meditation practice, and I promise you, it will start to happen. You can become your own placebo. Be sure to subscribe to my channel below to get every week's 10-minute memory hack. Thank you for watching.